Well, good afternoon, boys. A little different today. Me and Big Dirty's cameraman today. He's behind the camera. So me and Big Dirty, we are going to hopefully put together a little tutorial of how to fit a new butt pad to your shotgun stock. And one of the members at our club has a Krieghoff, and he bought a new stock for it, and it came with this nasty old butt pad. So he wants a new butt pad, and instead of sending it off to Krieghoff and paying who knows how much money, he asked the Dirties to do it. So he gave us, this one's going to be a little more difficult, he gave us a brand new Kick-EEZ butt pad. Very nice. I believe it's called the Sporting model. And then he gave us this spacer wedge. You can see it's cut at an angle to change the pitch of the stock. So we are going to apply this spacer to the butt pad, and then we're going to grind everything down to fit the stock. And we're going to use this old butt pad sort of as a template to really understand this angle here and this angle here as it relates to the stock. So that's going to be sort of why we keep this critter, and hopefully we can walk you through this process. Now, to even make it a little more difficult, this gun has the adjustable aluminum gray coal butt plate that the pad will attach to. So it's going to be a little more complex, but hopefully it makes sense as we go through it. And we're going to do it the dirty style. And we used to have a lot of big expensive machines in our shop, and this is a whole nother story, but our shop got broken into, and because it was off of our property, they had a day or so and they cleaned everything out of the shop. So now we have to resort to some less fancy machines, as you'll see in this video, but we're going to use a simple belt sander, and it's a little more difficult, but with a little bit of care, it's not going to be a problem. We've done a bunch of these for Big Dirty and Little Dirty, because as they grow, we many times just buy bigger recoil pads, grind them, fit them, put them on, and it allows the gun to grow with them. So anyways, without too much further ado, we're going to get into this. All right, hang tight. Okay, boys, I'm not in the picture, which is good because you don't need me anymore. Maybe you see my hands down here. But so what we have here is we have the Kick-EEZ butt pad. It has the 2 set screws already in it. We have the angle spacer plate. So first thing we got to do is we got to connect this angled spacer plate to the butt pad. And to do that, we're going to epoxy it. We're going to use this quick set 5-minute epoxy. I usually let it sit for a little bit longer than that. This comes from my old golf club building days. I have lots of that left over, but it's a good crossover. So epoxy likes to adhere to rough surfaces. This is kind of smooth. So we're just going to rough it up real quick with some coarse sanding sponge. Perfect. So now we got a rough surface. I've already pre-roughed this one. And we're going to grab this 5-minute epoxy. There we go. That'll be plenty. I'm going to keep things on the perimeter of this guy. Oh, it's so delicious. Because I don't want to get epoxy in those screw holes. And in a second here, I'm going to smooth it out so it's a little bit easier to manage or make for a nice cured surface. Okay, so now I'm going to take a razor blade and I'm going to smear this. And I'm going to give it a nice coat. And I'm trying to do this so you can see it in the camera. Oh, boys. Okay. You see that, boys? Alright. So for the most part, we're out of the holes. I want to get the edges. That's really, I guess, where I want that contact to be really good. Alright. Done. We are going to apply this bad boy onto the pad. Now. Boom. Alright. I don't want to get glue all over the pad, so I take those gloves off, put some glue on them. Alright, the customer, our friend Mr. Tim asked to have the thinnest edge towards the bottom of the pad, and that's what we're going to do. So we have that down towards the bottom. I'm going to put these clamps on. Bam. 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 And bam. Now, I'm going to let that sit for probably, I'm going to let that sit for 4 hours. And that will give this, time to have real good adhesion. And after we get that cured, then we'll start on the tracing the perimeter of this plate onto the pad, and then we'll start carefully grinding it down. So that's where we are for now. All right, fellas, I'm back. So we've had time for the epoxy to cure. It's actually been about, I don't know, 10 hours probably. You probably noticed that I'm wearing different clothes, so I had to go. That's why. So anyways, we've had plenty of time to cure. So at this point, we're going to pop these clamps off. And take a look at this guy. All right. So you see that now. Clamps are off, and you can see we have a good adhesion from the wedge attached to the pad. That's exactly what we wanted. Nice and clean. No glue spills, and that stuff just looks bad when you aren't tidy with it. So anyways, good adhesion. So now comes the process of scribing the line from this aluminum base pad onto the spacer pad. I cheated a little bit, and I've already taken the Allen screws out of here so I can do this quickly. So we take our scribe and we will trace all the way around a couple of times, and that'll give us a nice indentation into the plastic, maybe a 32nd of an inch. Basically, it's a scratch into the plastic, and that'll give us a final reference point. Then we take this nice Sharpie metallic silver paint marker, and we continue around. And that gives us a silver line up to the scribed line. So if you look at it closely, you'll see we have a scribed line, and then outside of that we have our nice silver paint line. I can take the sander now, and I can grind because there's a lot of meat to come off here. So I can grind like crazy until I get down to that silver line. Once I get into that silver line area, then I'm going to start being a little more careful, slowing down. And once that silver line goes away, then I know I'm in my final stages, and all I got to do is make this scribe disappear. So as soon as that scribe line disappears, then I'm into my final stages. Once I get rid of my scribe line all the way around my sander, then I usually finish it off by hand with some high grit sandpaper. We forgot one thing. Mr. Tim, who the Recoil Pad is for, wanted a hole in the very center of the pad in order so he can put his Allen wrench in and make the adjustments on the butt plate. So I forgot to tell you about that. And that creates a little bit more of a step that we had to do. So anyways, overnight, we froze the pad. And what we do is we freeze it because it's almost impossible to drill rubber. So we threw it in the freezer. Now it's hard as a rock, good and frozen. And so we'll take it down and we'll go ahead and drill that hole. And also by freezing it, it helps us grind it a little better. It's easier to grind something that's hard versus something that's all soft and mushy. So the freezer technique does good for both grinding and drilling the hole. We're back here. We're going to drill this hole. I'm going to use a real sharp. Actually, it's a new drill bit, and we want to take it really slow. because rubber just doesn't quite cut like other things. And we'll see how it turns out with a real sharp drill bit. We're going to go from the inside out. All right, fellas, we are back. We're outside because this thing makes a mess. And we got Big Dirty, which is our sander holder. And you look here, oh, there's the sander. This is our redneck belt sander. He's going to spin it real quick, give you a quick view of it. Just nothing fancy, but a little Home Depot rigid sander, belt sander. And we're gonna get some action of it. All right, fellas, we're going to establish this lower angle first. That's the first thing we're going to take off. Once we get that angle set, everything sort of falls into place from that point forward. So anyways, Big Dirty's going to fire it up, and here we go, boys. Alright, boys, you can see where we've pretty much established that angle now. So we got that, we're down to our silver line. So now that angle's established, now we can start working our way around a little bit. Alright, boys, we are real close. We got the silver line going, and we got this right down to the scribe line as well. And you can see it's starting to really take shape. And we're going to do some little bit of touch up here on it, but yeah, it's coming around nicely. So we're back in the shop. We got all the rough grinding done on this bad boy, and it looks nice. When you freeze them, it really helps get the contours a little easier than when they're not frozen. So next step, what we're going to do now is we have some sanding blocks. This is one of those painter sanding blocks. It's got about a 60 grit on one side, and then you flip it over and it's got about 150 grit on the other side, and then this guy's about a 300 grit. It's real smooth. And when we get down to the 300 grit, we're going to use this Old English furniture polish on it first. It's almost like a wet sand, so we're going to spray it down and then we're going to sand it, and it really gives it a nice little polish. So anyways, without further ado, here we go. Got the first finish sanding done. It's got most of those nicks out, and now we're going to go ahead and polish it. So what we're going to do is we're going to give a squirt with the Old English. Old English. Got it all covered good. Rub it around, and then we take this fine 300 grit and give it to it, and then you can see how it really brings the color out, makes it look nice. So that's going to be the finished product here, and it'll be done in 1 second. Alright, fellas, we are finished. I'm hoping we can see that, but you can see how it really turned out nice. It's got a nice sheen to it, nice shine to it, and that is a well done butt pad. So it turned out nice. So all we got to do now is fasten this back on, boom, and then we'll apply it to the gun at the gun club, hopefully tonight, so we can see what that looks like on the gun. All right, boys. Oh, it's hard to see, but there's the finished product on the old Krieghoff. Ooh. Pretty. Looks nice. Perfect. What do you think, Big Dirty? Good?
Very good.
Well, I hope this tutorial of how to do a grind to fit butt pad was useful. It wasn't probably the way the pros do it, but for a clay target life dad who has to do this a lot for his kids and doesn't want to spend $200 or whatever it is every time I need one of these done for the children or a friend. So anyways, it takes a little bit of time and takes a little bit of patience, but at the end of the day you can have a factory finished product, and with a little bit of effort and not too many tools. So hope that helps, and stay tuned, and we'll hopefully make some more of these tutorials. Be the chicken.